well, then I would have a chance to meet those same goals again the next time I came into physicality, because this is not my only time through here, and I will give myself repeated opportunities to meet those goals in the next incarnation. That would be my answer. Okay, now, after you've written down your answer, one last time, a third time, what would happen if that happened? See, if that occurred, then what would happen? Now, in my case, I would write down, well, then I would have another chance, as I said, and I would probably get closer, maybe, to meeting my soul's goals than I did this time. Great. What would happen then? Then I would get closer still, and ultimately, I suppose, I would meet all of my soul's goals sooner or later in one lifetime or another. Great. What would happen then? See, then I would be complete. I'm sorry? Then I would be complete. Oh. So what are you afraid of? See, then God would say to me, then if that's the ultimate outcome, what are you afraid of? So what I find when I work with people in retreats is that people are not ever really scared of the ultimate outcome. What they're afraid of is the process they have to go through to get there. As soon as you decide that the process you have to go through to get there is really okay with you, the fear game is over. Nothing to be afraid of anymore. Now that might be easier said than done, but I don't think so. I don't think so. I think when we really deeply understand who we are, the nature of life, why we're here, and the blessed gift that that whole process is leading us to, we are no longer afraid of or hesitant to enter into the process itself. That's just my thought about it. I could be wrong. You think about it and decide what's true for you. Now let's go to the last item in our list of teaching points here. Identifying the soul's agenda. Identifying the goals of the soul. I think for many people, this ability to come to completion does in fact center around this item that I've been talking about here loosely for the past hour, which is the agenda of the soul. What is it that the soul itself is attempting to do here in this incarnation through this present lifetime that you're living? I'm going to invite you to turn the page one more time in your notebook, and I'm going to ask you to do something now, and I'm going to invite you to turn off the program, to pause the program one last time after I give you this instruction. And I'm going to invite you to write down in your notebooks right now the goals of my soul. And you can, if it helps you to crystallize, and sometimes it helps people to crystallize it, give yourself a few categories, yeah? The goals of my soul with regard to work or livelihood, or the activity that takes up most of the times of my life. Second category, the goals of my soul with regard to relationship. Not just a romantic relationship, but all relationships, familial relationships, parent-child relationships, all relationships, the goals of my soul with regard to relationships, yeah? Third category might be the goals of my soul with regard to God, or the holding that I call God, the way in which I hold the idea of God or divinity in my life. The goals of my soul with regard to that. Just let's give you a little example, a little opportunity. Just take those three categories and any other ones you might think of and write down and go inside now. We're going to turn off the program, put it on pause, and I want you to take all the time you need. This might take you 45 minutes or 4 minutes, but whatever time it takes, give yourself that time and write down, go inside, go deeply inside, In one of our previous programs, I taught you how to do that. Go deeply inside and see if you can identify and call forward the goals of your soul. And put it on pause now, and we'll be back when you're done with that work. Good. That's good work if you did it, and if you didn't, if you just played the tape right through, you're really bad. You're a bad person, and I'll never speak to you again. But didn't Sylvester the cat used to say that? Suffering succotash. I'll never speak to you again. But I will. I'll talk to you again, but still, I'd like you to do this work if you would, because it's going to be very helpful to you. So don't just roll through, as I mentioned before, don't just roll through these pauses, waiting to see what I'm going to say on the other side. Do the work if it pleases you to do so, okay? But now, let's assume you've done that. If you can identify the goals of your soul, you will be taking a giant step toward completion in your life. The kind of completion that God was talking about when she said to me that enlightenment is completion. So I want you to do what it takes to memorize those goals. Did you ever have to memorize anything in school, like the capitals of the states? If you were born in the United States, they always asked us to do that. Did they do that if you are not a U.S. citizen? Did they do that in your country too? In America, in grade school, you had to know the capitals of every state in the Union. Like, who cares? But it was about geography, and you're supposed to do it. So, and in a catechism class in my Catholic school, I had to memorize all kinds of stuff, you know, prayers, the Apostles' Creed, and so forth. So if you've had experience with memorization, here's another memory assignment. I'm going to ask you if you could actually memorize the goals of your soul that you just wrote down in your notebook. Actually, you know, commit it to memory. And if you can do that, take a couple of days. It doesn't have to be done, you know, in an hour. But if after a couple of days, read it over and over and over until you, after a week or so, whatever it takes, you've got them pretty much committed to memory. And then I'm going to give you an exercise to do each morning when you awaken. I'm going to invite you to wake up and to repeat your memorized goals of the soul in your mind. Just repeat them to yourself each morning upon awakening. Let that be your, well, what I call it, your morning meditation. Let that be your morning prayer, or whatever word you want to use, your morning connection, so that your soul can know that it's been heard. Hey, they heard me. Nice. And so that your heart can stay connected with your soul. You know what the heart is, by the way? The heart is the bridge between the mind and the soul. Did you know that? That's how I always think of it. The heart is the bridge between the mind and the soul. So let your heart fall into the fullness of your soul's expression through your mind's willingness to understand not only what the soul's goals are, but what it takes in physical life to reach those goals or to move toward them as best you can. I'm going to suggest that your whole life will change. Your whole life will change. Your day-to-day experience will be different than it ever was before if you decide that what your life is really about is meeting the goals of your soul or moving toward that as rapidly as you can. Watch your life change. And since this course is called Your Life as God. This is a change you may be very interested in making. Make this change, and you'll be one huge step toward completion. And that's the end of this lesson. Thanks for being with us. See you next week.